got it going. With the spin of the wheel, we'll uncover our fate and stream it to you on one take. We tend to be loud and we fight quite a bit, but it's an unscripted show, so you get what you get. If we stop to right now and we just walked away, we'd be back here next week, cause we just can't wait to play.
What's crack-a-lackin'? All you hardcore tech heads, welcome to a super complicated, hardcore, high-level edition of ARG Presents.
Thank you, Bajako.
I am your host and resident super genius, Amigo Aaron, joined by a man who I'll guide through this episode like you would a small child in a little red wagon. Please give it up for dumb guy Brent.
You know,
What?
it's insulting. Not that you're calling me stupid. I'm used to your ignorance on that.
Yeah.
But to even pretend that you had anything to do with our success is a complete besmirchment. I don't even know if that's a word.
It is.
Besmirchment to poor Bajako's wonderful
No.
grace.
Bajak, I never heard of it.
What's a Bajako?
Listen, a couple weeks ago we spun the wheel. This wheel, in fact. For those on the radio, I just pointed at the wheel.
Yeah,
and
I don't think you have to dictate everything. I am now moving back and forth in my
I'm going to be more audio friendly. Let me describe the Brit to you. Big, dumb, stupid. Anyway, we spun the wheel. We made the deal.
Aaron, that's a mirror.
And what a deal, the Brent. Thanks to our old pal, Z9K9. This week, we're going to be playing games, amazingly, on the Tektronix 4051. Now,
Yes.
I'm going to start the show by saying Z9K9's original request, he just wrote Tektronix 405X. So it's funny how we were guided gently to the 4051 because that's it. That's all we can do. The other ones have as far as we know, there's no way to play anything on any of the other Tektronix. So, before we get into the game proper, or get into the show, I want to talk to you about these oddball spins. And we've been doing this for a long time on ARG Presents.
Yeah.
We've spun up some weird kit computers, your Ohio Scientific Challengers, all these weird machines. What are, even stuff like the PET or the TRS-80 Model 1 and 3, some real ancient stuff.
Well, those aren't bizarre.
Where do you fall on these super old bonkers computers, stuff that you have to play on a college mainframe, like we had to sign up for that service to play the one? Do you like episodes like this?
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah, because otherwise, this is the Ohio Scientific especially. Would I have ever known anything about that system?
Yeah.
No, not a thing.
No, yeah.
And was it something worthy of highlight? I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
We always complain when these come up that we don't know what they are, because we don't. That's shoot, by the way. We have no idea. Anyone that thinks the wheel is like we're sitting around like manipulating the wheel, do you think we would have rolled the Tektronix 4051? Hell no, we wouldn't have. But by God, I enjoy him too, and I've really enjoyed this one.
Z9K9 in chat.
Holy smokes.
You did this to us.
We haven't seen Tina for a while. You showed up at the right time, my friend, because we're doing your
I'll
piece.
be honest. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I hate you, but thank you.
Let's get into the Tektronix. Again, we're going to focus, because we're leaving the door open to do another Tektronix somewhere down the line.
Well, I don't know
if
about
they
that.
ever emulate one. But again, this is the Tektronix 4051. So we're going to talk about this machine because it really is an interesting machine. The year that, now of course, this is not the original Tektronix for the 4050. So I'm going to give you as much as I can from a historical perspective. Tektronix came out with this, the 4050, and I believe it was somewhere between 75 and 77. I think it was close to 77. Okay?
Sure.
The Tektronix 4051, which we're going to be talking about, came out in 1978 and had a Motorola 6800 in it. Not a 68,000, 6800. This ran at 1 megahertz and had 8K of RAM. This is all for the program, and a 32K ROM with BASIC in it. Now we'll get to the RAM in a minute because that sort of something to it. There's a lot of nuttiness to this. First of all, I want to talk about the outfit of Tektronix. Tektronix has got a big name, okay? Now, do you know what Tektronix is sort of famous for, the Brent?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Tell
They
everybody.
are famous for their incredible tubes for the televisions.
Well, I mean, maybe, but that's not what I would have said. I would have said they're known for their measuring instruments, specifically the oscilloscopes, calculators, scientific stuff like that.
That is something else that they're incredibly
Which,
famous for.
Before they got into the computer business, they were heavy duty into the oscope business and the calculator business. But they had their hands in a lot of different pies back in the day. So this was their first foray into computers. And there was one man that was literally responsible for the Tektronix 4050. His name, I'm going to try not to butcher this, was Hiro Moriyasu, okay?
Fair enough.
So I want to tell you about Hiro here because he is a hero, and he's been put over by everyone that ever worked with him. I found a few articles about him. He is the inventor of the digital oscilloscope, and he owns 12 patents to his name, and there's a bunch more that his company's own.
Sure.
He's got a couple of sub-companies. He had two companies that he founded. He also worked for Tektronix forever and ever. Back when he has sadly passed. But when he was the man that literally came up with this computer, and the computer was so solid that when this thing got released, listen to this. When this thing was released, so when he came up with the 4051, the IBM was appalled, so appalled at how great it was that they removed the model they had currently on the market off the market.
Yeah.
They were like, holy crap, there's no way we can compete with this. This guy, I read a couple articles about him. They put him over like $1 million. I mean, they love this guy. He was a genius. But here's the nutty part. And I like to talk about this because it shows you that anyone can get themselves over if you try hard enough. This guy was born in September 1934 in Kure City, Hiroshima Prefecture, Japan. During the Second World War, did you read this? During the Second World War, he lived with monks so he could be somewhere safe. And he avoided the atomic bomb being dropped in Hiroshima City, but he did see the destruction of it. And he hid in the back of his father's truck as they were driving around trying to not get captured, not get killed.
Yeah.
And eventually he moved to the U.S. in 1953. He went to Oregon State University, and then he went up and started his rounds, and eventually hooked up with Tektronix. A great story, and everyone that ever met this guy said he was awesome. So that's the guy you got to thank for the 4051.
Something I want to say real quick about the Tektronix Corporation. They did not go out and do stuff on the cheap.
No.
Their stuff was super high quality.
You got that right.
I was watching a documentary style video where they were talking about the ceramics that they had in their machines, in their tubes for their equipment.
Yeah.
It was so finely detailed that if you used normal or lower quality solder, it would screw it up. So they actually had everyone that they sold with a roll of solder stuck inside the machine, like just coiled up, so that if someone had to make repairs on it or something, they would have good solder to put in there and do the repairs. That is, I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
I think that's an incredible going out there and saying, listen, we sell quality stuff, and we don't want you to have to use secondhand or low rate stuff to make repairs. Because that had to cost them money.
Oh, yeah.
So good stuff. I was highly impressed with that.
So here, let me talk to you about the models. There were 3 models. So the 4050 technically wasn't a model, okay? I've heard it referenced, but I don't think it was ever released. I don't know if there was even a number called a 4050. From what I can tell, the 4051 was the first one they released, but I keep seeing different times. I've seen people say the 4051 was released all the way back to 74, but it's listed in some places as 77, so I don't know when. So Again, your mileage may vary on this. I mentioned it was a Motorola 8-bit 6800 run megahertz. So when this thing came out, Brent, it had a base price of $5,995.
Yeah, was not cheap.
Which is 75. That's what's reference here. By today, you're looking at almost $36,000.
Yeah, this was not designed to be a home consumer unit.
No, absolutely not. So that was the first model, the 4051. We'll get into that one the most, but I wanted to mention the other models. The second model was the 4052. It was a very different system. It had a different CPU based on 4 AMD 2904 processors, and it had a mode that would let it run software from the original machine. And then the last one they released was the 4054, which was a version of the 4052, but it had a 19-inch screen from a terminal. And so it had a bigger screen, and it had increased resolution. So what made this thing great? Well, I'm going to try to explain this without getting too deep in the woods, because this is a pretty complicated thing. The 4051 used something called a direct view storage cathode ray tube for its monitor. What does that mean? It means that the image, when you draw an image on the screen, it stored the image on the screen without having to refresh that image with the computer. Sort of like the Vectrix does.
Sticks it on, yeah.
And so what this means is this is a computer from 1975-ish on that had vector graphics that were nice. I mean, they were real sharp. And so what this did was it let them use this as a graphical tool to a certain degree, okay? It also was great for plotting and whatnot.
Which was more of what they were using it for. Yeah.
So here's the thing. This thing didn't have any video RAM, but it did have dynamic RAM, which was unheard of at the time. And the computer was aimed at high-end workstations. The 8K of RAM it had was plenty without having to have any video RAM, because you could refresh the screen. And so if you look into these machines, you're going to see some pretty impressive vector style artwork, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
By those standards, they were off the charts artwork. The machine, it was an interesting looking unit. It was just it looked sort of like an all-in-one, like you would expect a computer to look like in the late 70s. It was that monitor and a keyboard and a tape deck or tape drive all built into a thing. But this thing was super heavy.
Well, also, tape drive is a little generous.
Well, I'm getting into that. But the 4051 clocked in around 65 pounds.
Yeah.
It was a monster. And I will say, from what I've heard, by the way, I'll skip to the end. You can't find this on eBay. This is more something you're going to find in a computer museum. But from what I've read, they were incredibly functional units that kept their functionality. The one thing that happened to these things was the tapes that they used were real cheap, and so the tape would fall apart before the machine would. But they've got an answer to that, which I'll get into. So you could actually get extra memory for these things to bring it up to 32K if you wanted to. It had 96 printing characters and 32 control characters. It had an interesting I/O on it, which I want to talk about. And by that I mean the way you interface with the machine. So picture a keyboard. You've got a normal keyboard in frame with a keypad.
Fairly normal, all right.
Then you've got 10 what they call user keys. User-defined keys that you can make do whatever you wish. And so these would be used, since this thing shipped with like a form of BASIC. I looked over some of the programs. I mean, it's straight up BASIC with some added graphical flourishes for this machine. But it's just a version of BASIC. That's what you program this machine on. But you could set up these pre-programmed keys for like different quick, like go sub, go to, sort of like the C64 did with the shortcuts on its machine. Except these were fully detailed just for whatever you want. You can label them. Then, here's the part I like. Beside the monitor, you had like a tape area. And then you also had you had 4 lights. Okay, 4 lights. There are 4 lights, just like Picard. And these would light up, for example, if the computer was working, you would say the busy light would come on.
Yes.
You know? And so, or if it was accessing the input-output, the input-output would come on. So these would light up, sort of like the old Spy Hunter when you deploy. That's what it reminded me of when you deploy something. It lights up. So it's a light behind a film, which is you don't see. I'm not sure I've ever seen a home computer like that.
Well, again, this was not made for the home.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But it was an awesome looking unit. I was really impressed with it. Believe it or not, according to what I read, this was only discontinued at like 85,
which is insane.
Your mileage may vary on that. Another thing it had was an auto load button, which we actually had to use. We actually had to use a lot of these buttons to play this thing, but this thing could do 1024 by 780 graphics, and then the newer version could do 4096. They had a lot of different resolutions you could use it with. It was impressive. But you see the thing, it's straight up vector. Was there anything that caught your eye? Because the funny thing about emulating this, you don't just load up a game. You've got to load up the tape and go just like you would do it on the real machine.
Sure.
What did you think about this as you fiddled with it?
Well, first of all, like you said, the unit is a handsome unit.
Yeah.
It is what I pictured computers would be like as a small child. Tons of little switches and doodads, lights and everything. It's very majestic. Getting this working, thanks to Bajako, because he had a step-by-step guide. He had it all figured out before we got a chance to even jump in. And I'm not going to complain about that.
No, I'm not.
It had just enough extra, why am I doing this, without going so overboard that I was lost. And what I mean by that is, when you compare it to like a Commodore game, right? Commodore, you load up the stuff, you put in your command to load stuff, and then you run after the program gets into memory.
Yeah.
This, you load up your flash file, and then hit the auto go, and bam, it was there.
Yeah, it runs it just like you would a basic program.
Yeah.
It does it for you. You don't have to do any type anything.
That is not always the case for these old machines.
No.
Sometimes you've got to get just in there and the command after command after command to get it going.
Yeah.
So I was really impressed that this was as easy to get off the launch pad as it was.
So, yeah, I agree with you. So, aside from the computer itself, and we mentioned, again, a monitor that have to rewrite the vectors, that was the selling point of this and the graphical flourishes. Now, there are some drawbacks to it, and we were talking about this off show. When you're typing on this thing, when you go back, you can't. It doesn't erase your previous character.
Yeah.
It'll be gone as you type in the command, but the character will just be overlaid by whatever you type there. And that's because when you turn the screen on, when you want to clear the screen, you have to hit a button, and it literally will clear the whole screen.
Almost like a DGOS feature.
Also, when you turn it on, it comes up. I saw a guy that actually had one of these. When it comes, it looks kind of foggy. And then once you hit that button, it clears. And apparently, these screens are pretty hardy.
Yeah.
Because like I said, this guy's was still working fine. They had they had some peripherals for this. A 4631 hard copy unit, which would make a paper copy of the display. I love that.
That's good stuff.
So think of it. I saw one of these things. It was big. It's it's one of those old school printers that's like a boat anchor.
That's when you hit print screen and it prints the screen.
It had something called the 4929 magnetic tape unit. It was a 300 kilobyte cassette cart that was like a secondary one. Then you had the 4662 digital plotter. 10 by 15-inch plotter. You ever fool with a plotter?
All the time.
Oh, really? From your print job?
Well, from my days at Dow.
And then get this.
And in my job.
You wouldn't expect this. There was the 4952 joystick. But it wasn't for games. It was for like plotter type stuff.
That makes sense.
You could also pay extra to get a RS-232 interface that allowed this machine to act just like a terminal. So there were some options. Now, here's something I can't vouch for, but I read and heard two different people say that they thought that there were around 100,000 of these sold. Now, I don't know if they mean just the 4051 or all three of the machines. I don't know. But that's the word on the street is they sold about 100K of these things. You take that with a grain of salt.
Well, are you going to get into the movie integration?
Well, yes, I'm getting ready to get there.
Okay.
One last thing I want to mention. So get this. I mentioned that the tapes they used didn't age well. They tended to rot. And an ex-employee from Tektronix named Michael Cranford designed, get this, a flash-based RAM pack that you could fit in one of the rear slots to replace the tape drive, and with a lot more capacity. And it says on his site that these things were sold on eBay. I don't know if they're still sold or not, because I couldn't see. There was very little Tektronix stuff that was computerized side of Tektronix that I found on eBay. So your mileage vary. Now, we mentioned this thing was cool, and it had a cool screen. But one of the things it did have was that because of the way the monitor worked, when you tape the screens of this thing, they didn't flicker like a TV, so you could videotape them
right without worrying about refresh rate.
And so this made them quite popular to be in TV shows.
Yes.
The only TV show I know for sure this was in was Battlestar Galactica, and they had. I believe I read that they had they lent or rented or sold Battlestar Galactica. I think it was like more than 10. It was like a bunch.
I looked it up. I saw 100 units.
I think it was 100. I think it was a lot. I wasn't sure. I was like, man, that seems like so many.
And I didn't see that it was rented. I saw that it was gifted.
Yeah.
Now, I can't imagine gifting 100, equivalent to $36,000 machines.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was some behind the scenes dealings, because it got it in the public eye, because they didn't just use the screen. It was in the show. It was everywhere.
Yeah. This is a real neat machine. I mean, it would be fun to play with one of these. In terms of a home hobbyist, I don't know what you'd do with it now. Except, I guess you could make graphics on it.
Yeah, you could
That'd be
program
cool.
on it, too.
But aside from that, it's a big, heavy-duty...
It's a beast.
But, much like Brent said, Tektronix, in fact, I read that they would leave certain areas of manufacturing, and people would be sad because they were the best ones in that area.
Yes.
But they did whatever they had. They did what they did. They're still around, by the way. So it's not like they went away. They're top shelf.
Quality, man.
Now,
Quality.
I want to talk, before we get into our individual games that we picked, I want to talk about the games, like where they come from. I was tooling around some forums. This is the kind of man in the field eyewitness report you're going to get from ARG Presents. I was fooling around the forums, and I was reading the Tektronix Computer forums. Yes, they exist. Yes, there is a small community of Tektronix people. And I ran across a fellow whose online name was Nicola Wan, okay? So Nicola Wan actually documented the dumping of my game. I don't know about yours. So what he was doing was he had got a bunch of old Tektronix tapes and had developed a process to get these old crappy tapes to somehow be dumpable. And so he personally dumped the tape that my game was on in September. No, it was September 22nd of 2018. That's when he recovered my game, plus several games more. So you could thank that fellow, because these games would not be available if it wasn't for him and guys like him that are dumping these tapes. You wanted to talk, before we get into our games in particular, so Pajaco dug up a game list of 36 games now this is not every game.
No.
A lot of games are probably long gone. Let's face facts.
Unfortunately.
And not all these games were for the 4051. Some did not work. Some were for the 4054 and required graphical capabilities that this machine could not render.
Correct.
But that said, we had 36 of these games, and we were going to talk about a few of these games. If you follow the logical directions that Pajaco put in, you get a nice menu. This is obviously a flash menu that lets you choose the game you want to play. And the emulator, which is funny because the emulator just runs out of it's an HTML emulator.
Yeah.
It runs out of your browser, if you can believe it. And but you could pick your games. Amongst the 36 games here, were there any highlights for you aside from the ones you picked?
There's a couple I want to talk about besides the one I picked. There was a racer game where you drive through a course.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why I
Is
want
the
to bring
course
this
real
up,
jagged? Yeah, I
the reason why I want to bring this up is you load it up, and your course selections are easy, hard, and impossible.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, well, I don't want to jump right into hard and impossible. Obviously, I don't want to do. I'll choose the easy. It's not an easy course.
It looks like a heart rate monitor. Is what it looks like. That the course from hell. Like you talk about turns in your car.
A heart rate monitor if someone just got stuck with adrenaline. I mean, it was insane. Also, there's a pool game, billiards.
Oh, really? I didn't try that
And
one.
I was like, oh, how in the world are they going to do physics and collision? Excuse me, on that kind of game? Well, they don't. You have your pool table, your 6 pockets, your cue ball, and your cue, and all you're trying to do is shoot the cue ball into a pocket.
It's the most basic of pool.
But I will say it had motion.
Yeah.
It had bouncing reflections off of the sides. So I thought that was pretty neat.
You didn't mention in the auto racing game, you had to change the angle that you drive. And it's not like you don't just drive it in real time. You have to
Yes, you do.
You do, but it's not like it's like with a steering wheel. You have to picture trying to guess how far you need to turn the steering wheel left or die in real time. That's basically what you're doing. It was ludicrous, that game.
Another one I thought was kind of fun. Did you take the Genius test?
No, I knew how I was going to pass that.
Yeah. Huh? So it's just text on a screen, 20 questions. It never gets anything new, but that's on there. So they did text type stuff as well.
Yeah.
I also played a game that was a strategy game where you are in a top-down view of a randomly generated maze. And maze might be a little bit of an overstatement, but it's you in a square, and there's walls and 6 other bad guys. And the bad guys, every turn, will take 1 step towards you. And your goal is to hide and maneuver in a way that they will run into walls and die berserk style.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought that was pretty neat. You take your move, and then all the bad guys move, and you do that.
Did you try golf?
I tried golf.
Golf is a game where it tells you your club selections, and then you better pick the right one. I mean, there's a graphical it shows you the course,
an above head
the hole,
view.
yeah. And then the funny thing is something else I noticed. It would render your golf shot sometimes after you had already got the next set of clubs, the next prompt. And so you were like, what do I do? And then eventually it would show up. You'd be like, oh, I'm 4 miles into the rough.
It's a little slow. It's a
Yeah.
little slow in
But
the
it
refresh.
wasn't bad.
Did you ever get on the green?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh, well done.
I never sank the ball, but I got on
Okay.
the green. I played artillery. It's exactly what you would think it is.
Yep.
It's totally serviceable. I played, let's see here. I played chase. Here's some, I played Cowboys and Redskins. So that's a simulated football game. It's a text-based football game, and you choose whether you want to coach the Cowboys or Redskins. Of course, you know who I chose. I was going to be Tom Landry in this. But this is a game that stopped working correctly about halfway through.
Yeah.
I also tried Sea Dog. It didn't work, and I desperately wanted it to, but I think it's for the 4054. But I looked at a video of Sea Dog, and it looked awesome. The 4054, when it comes to these sorts of games, or maybe it was one that had more memory. Who knows? Why it didn't run, I don't know. Maybe the emulator didn't support it. But the video of someone playing on an actual machine looks great. You get into sort of like a Vectrix realm. This is like a real remedial Vectrix, basically. That's what it reminded me of. I also tried Skeet Shoot. I couldn't figure out how to get my guy to shoot the skeets. Did you figure that one out?
I didn't play that one.
And I also tried, there was Shooting Gallery. I also tried that one with similar results. Any of the games in this that required timing, it gets interesting, which we'll talk about in a minute. What were your overall thoughts on? Did you try the adventure games, like Wampus or?
I couldn't get any of those to load.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
Yeah.
So this emulator is probably not 100%. It could be, and we're just dumb. We just don't know. So we did get 2 games to work, and we picked pick 2 games. Do you want to go first? You want me
I'm
to go
definitely
first?
going to go first.
Get into it, the Brent.
I chose Weather Wars. Now, this is something we have looked at on other systems, and it is as it says it is. It is Weather Wars, a 2-player game where you control the weather.
The word on the street is this is the first ever version of that. Your thoughts?
I believe it. I believe it. This is, I would say, probably the most graphically impressive game that we played.
Well, I mean, it's not that great. I mean, I will say the effects of weather are pretty good.
Okay,
Yes,
there we go.
Yeah, all right. I'm on board. I'm on board.
For those that don't know what this game is, it's a 2-player game where a cloud will be drawn in the sky, and you have a house on either side of the screen. So you choose what weather effect you would like to do to attack the enemy house.
Now you have to have a second player. There's no computer player.
No, there's no computer player, but you can play with yourself. It's just as fun. So, what are your weather choices? Hail.
Yeah.
Big old ice storm, and the way it reacts is it will come down in a fairly predictable path. I would say greatly affected by the wind.
But you choose the wind, yeah.
Well, there's a wind that is in the game, and then you shoot your weather effect by choosing how much extra wind you are going to impose, either a positive or a negative, from the cloud.
So you can type in negative wind. I never tried that. That's why I couldn't get it to go a certain way.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know. I didn't want to crash the program. It's thing sensitive.
No. So, hail will do massive damage. It can one-shot the house if you get it perfect, but if you miss the house, the splash damage on it is very, very low. Very low. The second weather effect is cyclone.
Yeah.
And that is where you open a big old funnel cloud, and it forms from the cloud and drops down into the screen, into the play area, onto the houses. It has a fairly decent AoE that will do moderate damage if you're not directly on. But if you hit someone dead on, that's it. Their house is obliterated.
Yeah.
And then the third weather effect is lightning. Now, lightning is, I would say lightning is the hardest to use, but its strike does have the widest area of effect. So if you're off a little bit either way from the house, you'll still do some damage.
Cool effect, too.
Yeah.
They all have pretty good effects.
Exactly. And lightning was one I tried to use the most just because I really wanted to direct hit a house.
Yeah.
I never did.
Which I did. I'll explain later.
Oh, you did?
I'll
You
get
direct
into it.
hit?
I'll get into it.
I felt like the controls for this were fine.
Yeah. They're only 3 letters.
Well,
some numbers.
You choose your weather effect, and then you choose how much you are wanting to affect left or right on the screen with positive or negative numbers based on the cloud location, with the addition of what other weather effect is happening, wind or electrical charge, that is the base of the game. And then you are trying to strike at the bad guy or the enemy house. You can damage your own house. You can completely destroy your own house, and it chastises you if you do. Every time you miss, it chastises you.
Yeah.
If you are close, it says, oh, you close shot. It tells you how much damage.
It gives you a little percentage of how much you did.
Now, I don't know if this was done on purpose or was an artifact effect from drawing the screen, but it showed when houses were partially damaged. Like it would have the roof blown off and just have the frame of the house sitting there.
You could have a very little chunk of house.
Yeah. I thought this was an incredibly fun game. I played this far longer than I should have. I'm trying to get that lightning strike to hit. Aaron, and I guess we should mention all of the sound. You've unfortunately had the accidental exposure to during this episode is just beeps.
Yeah,
It's
a beep, there's a
nothing
beep
but
in there.
beeps.
It's also, they're more than happy to use that effect, too.
They do like their beeps. Aaron, what did you think of Weather Wars?
I was familiar with Weather War because somewhere in the years I've played this game.
Yeah, we played it on a different show.
I remember, but I mean, it wasn't like the one we played was more advanced than this, the one I recall.
A little bit, not really.
But this was fun. The effect, listen, I'm a sucker for the vector, and it works. They did a good job in this. I mean, again, I want to make sure everyone realizes that we're going off, but the graphics are this is a computer from like the mid to late 70s. It is not. These games are going to blow your mind with their graphical options, but I mean, still, the effects are cool.
This is literally graphic on or off. That defines your pixel.
I would put this machine, in terms of its game playing ability, somewhere below your TRS-80 Model 1s and 3s. I mean, well below that, but it's above. Like, this game you could probably play better games than you would play on, say, the Channel F or something. I mean, or like the kit computers, the NASCOM, maybe it's somewhere in that ballpark. I mean, the NASCOM was as powerful as you made it, so that's a mixed bag.
Here's the thing, and then I'll let you get on.
All right.
If this was loaded up somewhere,
Yeah.
right, Weather Wars,
Yeah.
on this system,
Yeah.
and someone said, "Hey, you want to play around?"
I'd play.
I
I
would
would absolutely play.
I would too.
I can't help myself either.
And it's that the testament of it. Now there are plenty of games on here I'd be like, nah, I'll pass.
Yeah.
Right? But this game, it does what it needs to do well enough to make it enjoyable to play.
I had one big problem with this game, though. Okay, you've got cyclones, you've got lightning, and you've got regular hail. But where was the hot hail? Hot hail! Ming the Merciless is not happy. There's no hot hail in this game. No. With all that said, I had a good time playing this. I mean, it is your classic baloney, but the effects are cool. And we were talking about the lightning strikes. So, of course, you're playing yourself. But one time, I had almost crushed the other guy's house. The other guy was also me. And I screwed up when putting it in assignment. And I struck my own house with lightning and obliterated it from 100% to 0.
Oh.
It was the perfect shot. I completely destroyed the house. It was gone.
Nice.
And it was awesome. And I was like, oh, and it does it's funny when that beep goes off and you're like, oh, I mean, it cratered the house. But it is fun to try to hone in. At the beginning of the round, it draws a cloud. Then it draws another cloud when it's your opponent's turn. Things are changing. So it's fun. It's a fun little game, little diversion. I mean, I always feel weird when we talk about these ancient machines, and we're like, this is a fun game with great graphics. And then we'll go bury something else that had awesome graphics. I don't know what we're mutants, but I try to put myself like in the shoes of someone in 1975. What are you going to play? Or 78 even. I mean, unless you've just gotten the VCS, I mean, your choices are limited. And this thing is you've got that awesome screen.
Yeah.
The screen goes a long way. And I'm glad I got to see someone who taped the screen so I can see what this stuff looks like. And made it more fun for me. So, yeah, I fully endorse the Weather War. I liked it, man.
I'll have to say I did too. Obviously, nothing on this is on eBay.
No.
Nothing on this has formal reviews.
You did get a review from Pajaco, though.
Absolutely. Let's hear it.
So, Pajaco says, allegedly, this is the real OG Weather War.
Yep.
That's what I heard. Although, I would wonder if the one of the college machines did it. I don't know. Remember when we played that? I can't remember what the name of that one was.
I understand.
Anyway, to get back to Pajaco, even though I am playing this 2.5 years after first checking out the sequel to C64, I found Weather War to be still a fun game. Again, there's a learning curve while you work out how everything works and what the numbers do. But once you lock that down, it starts to be more fun. Sadly, if you are a Billy No Mates, I've never heard a solo player called Billy No Mates. This version only seems to offer a 2-player option, and while playing with yourself can be fun at times, doing it in Weather War gets old pretty quick. But it isn't a bad way to practice playing both ends of the field. I agree, though. You'd probably prefer to play with the person. Graphically, for a vector-based game for a small, basic program, it does everything it needs and gives you enough imagination gap to fill in. I gave WWII, which is that's the C64 version, an 8 out of 10, and it's a better game. but how do I retroactively score an original game versus its sequel? It is a 2-player only game of strategy and a little math. The graphics are good for what they are, and it sets out to do everything it wanted to at the time. So I'm going to give this game an 8 out of 10. So there you go.
Absolutely well deserved.
8 out of 10 right there. So there you go. I think that was a pretty good choice too, the Brent, for you. Since the last time the weather you invoked that up, that wasn't when the lightning struck, was it? Because that was bonkers. All right, you ready to get in my game?
What do you got?
So I've got a little information on my game because I actually found some information in the program. So my game, the game I chose was Bomber. Bomber was programmed by Dennis McGarry, and which was in the program, and the date in the program is January 1st, 1977. I looked up Dennis McGarry, and not in a creepy way. Dennis McGarry lived in the Portland metro area and was a computer technologist from way back. Amongst the things he did was oversee IT operations for Xerox. That's no small thing. He was also the manager of information technologies. He also, of course, worked at Tektronix, and he was a big deal there. He was director of desktop services there. So you can see why this guy would have written this program.
Sure, absolutely.
And one last thing, because I'm going to put this guy over because he's also passed. Dennis was a big player in the Boy Scouts of America and was a vice president of venturing for Boy Scouts of America. So he helped them on the economic side, which I thought was kind of cool. So good for him. I was a Boy Scout. I don't know if you ever were a Boy Scout, or yeah. Well, that didn't surprise me. Anyway, so Bomber. Why did I pick this? Good question. I'll explain. This was as I mentioned, this was originally recovered from those Tektronix tapes in 922. There's a bit in the program that says this says MCM updates September 28, 2021 for R&D and 4052/4054 delay. So someone went in after this got dumped in 2018 and did an update. Now, if you list this program, it is not a long program. Neither is yours. They're surprisingly compact for what they do. It's a remarkable thing to see how small these games are. But you can look at them in DOS. So this is ripped directly from the game. The object of this game is to drop the bomb from the plane and hit the house. Each player is given 10 bombing runs. On each run, the plane's altitude, speed, and location of the house are different. Use user key 1 to drop the bomb. All right. User key 1 was one of the user keys we talked about that you have
physically on the thing, not the keyboard.
Right. So let's talk about this game, Bomber. Once you pick the number of players and it starts off, you better be ready to hit the user key because the game doesn't give you any time to think. And almost every time on the very first pass of the plane, the house is close as it will be in the entire run. Did you notice that? So you've got to be ready right away to hit user key 1 or you're going to be boned. So in this game, a plane will appear somewhere in the sky at some altitude, and it will fly directly straight across the screen. And at any point in that, you can hit the user button, and you will drop the bomb. At the bottom of the screen, in random areas, is a house, a little, it's just generic, like a 2-year-old drew. And then your job is to bomb this house. Simple. It's a one-button game. We should redo that show. And you drop the bomb. Now, there's a few wacky things about this that always amuses me. So we mentioned that this machine uses its video in a different way. It puts an image on the screen and it stays there. So it could not. Maybe it could, but this programmer chose to not get rid of your old. To make the plane go in motion, it leaves a trail of other planes.
Yes.
So every step. Like, I don't know how many planes fit in the screen. Let's say 15, maybe 12, 10. But, it goes step, step, step. And every time, the whole path of the plane are other planes because it didn't clear the screen.
Right.
Which is, if you don't know about the technology behind it, you'd be like, what the hell is this? That's the way it is. In fact, I played artillery. And when you shoot the guns, you can leave the trails on. It's the same thing. So you'll have a screen full of trails. and you're trying to figure out which trail is yours, which is the newest trail. So once your plane starts off and you see where the house is, you have to sort of time the arc of the bomb from the altitude you're at and where the house is on the screen. If it's closer to you, you've got to hit that button sooner. It almost plays like a game, like an LED game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or a liquid crystal display game, I should say. You know, where you could, if the other planes were like kind of grayed out a little bit, it would be just like that. So if you think of one of those LCD games, that is exactly what you're doing here. Again, depending on the altitude of your plane and where the house is when you drop the bomb. This game is very, very precise. When you drop the bomb, it shows you a dotted line as the bomb drops. The bomb gets close to the house. When the bomb hits, there's a little explosion. And if you don't have it directly on the middle of the house, you get no score.
You get no splash damage at all.
It's not like the lightning bolt or anything.
No.
You have to have the bomb perfectly in the center of that house. And it has to hit. Even if it passes through the roof at a perfect, but it slightly veers off, you get no points. You have to shoot right dead center. And then if you do hit it, the house does blow up. I mean, you know, it blows up like there's a little explosion in the house.
Oh, yeah, it draws a little scribble and everything.
But then, of course, you get 10 passes. So the next pass, the house is back and the plane's at a different altitude. That's it. That's the game. Once you get through 10, it tells you how you did. And then you try to beat that score. The most I could ever blow up in one round was 2.
Yes.
My high score. I came so close to getting 3 a couple of times, but I couldn't do it. Now I'm not gonna tell you I played this game for 10 hours, but I did. It's one of those games you can just sit there and watch TV, and I sat there and played it for a while. What did you think of Bomber?
Well, you missed one crucial thing about this game.
What did I miss?
The plane doesn't just vary in altitude, it also varies in speed.
Yes, it does vary in speed.
And it varies in speed by either having your next little plane closer or farther away from the previously drawn plane. So when the plane is going slow, meaning that it's going to draw more planes across the field, you have a much better chance of hitting the house.
What did you think about the ability to drop the bomb? I couldn't tell if you could drop it whenever you wanted or only when the plane appeared. It was hard to say.
The bomb trails from one of the planes that are the farthest plane that is drawn every single time.
It's just like an LCD game. It's exactly like that.
Here's the rub.
Yeah.
And here's where I have to dock. That's right. I'm docking points on Bomber.
All right. Here we go.
There are setups, depending on the altitude and the speed, that you cannot hit the house.
You see, Pajako mentioned that, and I'm not 100% sure.
I am 100% sure.
When the house is closer, you have to be quicker, and sometimes I think you make it very, very tight.
No. There are times when the plane is traveling ultra fast, which means you're only going to have like 6 or 7 planes drawn. When you hit the button and you blow up beside the house, there is no before or after that would have made it hit. So yes, you can absolutely 100% get boards that do not hit the house. And when I say can get boards, what I'm really saying is there are many, many times that you physically cannot hit the house.
I'm good to
And when I say many, many times, I'm going to say 60 or 70, maybe even 80% of the time, you cannot actually hit the house.
I think you're compensating for your own shortcomings.
No, because, I mean, it's not hard. It
is hard.
You're right, because sometimes success is impossible. There are the bomb trace that it puts out is always the same, no matter if the plane is going slow or fast.
Yeah.
It's always the exact same arc. And if you have a laptop and you're an idiot like I am, can actually physically say, here's where it dropped out of the plane, here's where it hit. If I take that distance and move it to all the other planes, would it have hit? No! Not even close.
No, listen.
So yes, at least 60% of the time, and like I said, as high as 80% of the time, you cannot physically hit the house. Also, I played this enough. I thought like you did. Maybe if I hit the button in between plane drawings, right, in a gap that would have caused it to hit, would that have made a difference? No, because the path always comes from the plane. No matter when you actually hit the button, it always comes from the plane and the exact same point on the plane. So don't think you suck. Well, you might, but don't think you suck at this game. There are tons of times you cannot hit the house. And because of that, this gets my lowest rating ever. Meh.
No.
Very displeased with
Listen,
Bomber.
I will not have you besmirch the basic programming skills of Dennis McGarry. I like this game. I thought it was fun, and I'm not sold on that. I'll tell you why. And also, you're forgetting this next factor here. Almost certainly a sketchy emulator. So we don't know if that is good. If that's playing a part in this. Plus, I think you're also disallowing the fact that you stink.
No.
And you're not just no good at it. I'll tell you what. At some point in the future, we're gonna have a bomber bomb off. And if I can get 3 or more bombs, I want you to admit that I was right and you were wrong.
No. If you get half, I will admit that you're
All
right.
I'm gonna start practicing on that. Anyway, I enjoyed this game. I thought it was neat. I like the look of it. And here's something else. You're shaking your head.
Frustrating.
You're shaking your head, but listen, the amount of code that it took to make this game was ludicrously low. It shows you. Here's something I like about this system, and this really sells it for me. The 4051. I'm no programmer. I mean, I know it's hard to believe. I'm just a schlub. But I looked at these programs. I'm like, my God. Here, I remember all this program to Coco. So, like, if you wanted to, because a lot of people tool around with the Vectrix, but the entry port's kind of high. You have to actually know what you're doing. You could go in, get some manuals, some readily available manuals with Tektronix 4051. They're out there. They're all out there. And you could make your own little vector games and basic in this, and they'd probably be pretty fun. And, I mean, and with minimal time spent to make them. So I like that the computer exists, the vector-based computer. You can do that. I think it's cool. And overall, I like this. Whole unit. Let's see what Pajako thought of Bomb.
Yes, let's see what Pajako thought of Bomber.
If I know Pajako, he's gonna put this thing over like $1 million. Bomber.
Yeah, probably.
This is from Pajako 6502. I was really enjoying this game quite a lot. Sure, it is simple, but that is what you got for the time. I found myself playing quite a few rounds because I felt like I was getting better with each time. Top score of 2. But I ended up missing some buildings each time, as you need to hit that sucker bang in the middle. The walls don't count, and you have to be very precise. Then I started to notice something, so I thought I would check in shenanigans. I don't think it is possible to hit the buildings every time. And he's got some screenshots here to try to prove his point. We're not going to be showing those. Maybe the emulator isn't running right, he says. Great concept. But as it is, because this game has a BS element, sadly, a 4 out of 10, which in Pajako terms, the game should be taken out and killed. P.S. Next time I see the TK 405X at a computer fair, I'm going to play this game to check. So I will, at that point, revise my score. So Pajako has access to one of these. So ultimately, we'll find out somewhere down the line what the deal is with Bomber.
Let me tell you something. If that 4 stands, is that the lowest we've ever had a Pajako score?
No, I've seen some of his Amiga scores that were quite low. But yes, I think that's brutally. I think that's too brutal, Pajako, for that machine.
I think it's dead on. And in fact, I wouldn't even go up to that high.
Nevertheless, boy, I really, really enjoyed researching Tektronix. Trust me, if you want the full scoop because it's Roy's computer, don't listen to me. Don't be like, well, Aaron touched on it. Do a little lookup, read on it. It's quite a fascinating little machine, and it was renowned. It did a lot of work in Hollywood, not just. I mean, they would use screenshots from it. It would be used to render stuff. So I'm sure it's probably been used. In fact, I wanted to mention this before we go out of it. Tektronix had some like sub companies that were like under it. And supposedly, the vector graphics that they use in the Star Wars movie were made on a Tektronix-esque machine. Your mileage may vary on that, but that's what I heard. So.
I will have to say, there is I don't know about making new software for it, but there are a surprising amount of videos that really deep dive into this machine.
Yeah.
On more of its actual use.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to us just looking at the game side of it, that are interesting. They do go deep, though.
Yeah.
You have to be ready to sit down and listen. But if that's your thing, man, it's definitely out there.
Can you imagine it's the 1970s? I mean,
No.
I can. Can you imagine it's the mid-1970s and someone's like, hey, look at this. And they produce like these pictures like the Statue of Liberty or these voids. I saw some stuff that was written. It was off the chart.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah, some of the cityscapes
Yeah.
that they were shooting, making images of,
Yeah.
were really nice.
Very
Really
impressive.
nice.
Very impressive. Very fun machine. So, Z9K9, you did good, kid. Nice job. So, we'll put this one to bed. Tektronix 4051. Maybe we'll come back here sometimes. There's some more games. Plus, maybe if they ever emulate the other ones, that'd be fun. I would love to try the 4054. So, of course, you know how it goes, Brent. The retro rotation will spin around.
Speaking of spinning.
Oh, yes. We almost forgot.
No, you almost forgot.
So this week, we added a new game, or a new piece to the puzzle here. And it was, I believe it was, games they were killer games, I believe is what we put on here. Gosh, I can't find the one I put on here because I'm so...
You didn't put that one on.
What did I put on? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. You taught me out of it. So instead, we put on the Holborn System 6100. That's system with 2 E's. The System, as suggested by Mitsuyama. And then the classic retro rotation piece is the CDI. I left it on there.
Again, because Aaron's lazy.
Listen, I did a lot of work.
Here we go.
Just cut me off. What a hoser. I can't believe I almost walked right past this thing. And the winner is... Oh, man. Here it is.
Please don't say we got that one.
This is from our good buddy, Buck Owens.
Uh-oh, it's a bucker.
It's simple but deep games. Simple but deep.
Oh.
Sort of like you, except for the deep part. Bam. Buck Owens. Thank you, Buck. Now, we'll be playing simple but deep games February 8th on the next ARG Presents Brent. But the retro rotation spins again, and next week, my God, holy smokes. Brace yourself, folks. Next week, Atari Unlimited. Atari Unlimited. And next week's Atari Unlimited will be all about David Crane. David Crane, the Brent, the mastermind behind the Pitfall series, among others, and a big-time player, a big mover and shaker over there at Activision. He will be the subject of the next Atari Unlimited. That should be a lot of fun.
That's going to be next week.
Now, let's a few things to get cooked here, because we have finally set a date, and I know you're excited about this one, the Brent. Amigathon 2026 will be January 31st, so a few weeks, 20 days from as we film this. It'll be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. over at the boat's basement. It'll be 12 straight hours of hot, incredibly hot Amiga action with me, the Brent, and John, Boat of Car Schaller. This is I think this is to be the 10th event that we've done. I think Boat said we'd raise some idiotic amount of money. It was it was a ludicrous amount, like 30 G's, something like that, some crazy amount over the years. Well, we just sat there and acted dumb. You guys raised it. Thank you. If you're interested in donating to Amigathon, of course, all the money, we don't get your money. Well, I don't have your money. It goes directly to the Children's Miracle Network. Do it for the kids, everybody, at amigathon.com. It's simple as that, amigathon.com.
Yep. And you can donate as early as right now.
Yeah, it's up. Be the first to get in there. Or you can wait until the event. It'll be a lot of fun. And look, it's always a good time, the Brent, for Amigathon. And this will be no exception. Again, that's Amigathon, January 31st, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on this channel, and it'll be on our YouTube channel as well.
Now, Aaron, what if the people out there say, I don't like kids. I want to support two fat idiots.
Well,
where
listen,
can they go for that?
I'm a kid at heart, if that helps. You can go over to patreon.com/the retro rotation. All one word, because we don't do spaces.
No space.
Too lazy.
Now we fill the space in with ourselves.
That's right. We would love to get you on board, and for your patronage, I mean, listen, you're not just throwing money into the hole. You
kind of are.
You get access to the Amigos Discord server, which also hosts everyone's favorite goofball Rob Fleck O'Hara and the boys over at Pixel Gaiden. Three big shows, one big Discord, plus all the retro rotation shows, plus Amigos. We have all kinds of fun over there. We'd love to have you. Plus, hey, throw us a few bucks. We could appreciate it. And Brent's got that pop. Plus, you get access to like the uncut episodes. I bet your cup of tea. So again, it's patreon.com/the retro rotation. And I do want to thank all of our Patreon subscribers and well-wishers. And a special shout out to the folks on the Discord. Thank you very much for making it all go down, go happen. I guess saying make it all go down didn't sound as good. I mean, get down, get funky. In the 70s, getting down was okay. Now it's a little bit different because I'm old. Any final thoughts to Brent before we put this one to bed?
No.
All right. That's all we got this week. It's a wrap, brother. We'll be back next week for Atari Unlimited. And until then, don't refresh your screens.
We got it going with a spin.